What's good, everyone? Welcome back for another session. One single question. When the hell are these guys going to get their Extreme Z Awakening? It just seems like I'm waiting forever for this guy, and whenever it seems like a good opportunity for Dokkan to implement this out, it just seems like it never comes through. So like, for example, last year for Saiyan Day was an example of like when I might have thought it would potentially come out, and then obviously with the 8th anniversary that we just went through, considering some of the elements and themes are around the GT, saga or what have you, I figured that would be a good opportunity for these guys to come out, but it just seems to be a recurring conversation of just a matter of when. Obviously, it'll come when it does eventually come, but like, Bardock, for example, I mean, we waited for a very, very long time for the EZAs. Now, give or take, like there's pros and cons with like the EZA rollouts, right? If you release it too soon, they're easily going to be outdated, whereas, some of the Bardock units that came out with the EZAs recently, after waiting for so damn long, they ended up being like very good in terms of like the current state. But yeah, it's a matter of like timing, right? Really what it comes down to. But I think a lot of it, between the two units, the strength type is the one that I really do miss using on a more frequent basis, because I used to use this guy as kind of a floating support on a lot of showcases back in the day. He was a very, very good support back when, all allies attack plus 33% was, I wouldn't say unheard of, but it was one of the higher, overall boosts you can provide to the team of allies, based on a team build or what have you. So, it's just a matter of really getting this guy's like defensive, abilities built up with the passives or super, and then, build some additional parameters around the offensive side, and, these guys will be okay. Like, looking at their, current stats, just to break it down, like the strength type Super Saiyan 3, Giant Ape version of GT Goku has, the ability to cause supreme damage to enemy and raises attack for 3 turns, and the passive skill is literally just all allies attack plus 33%, turns into Giant Ape when conditions are met, and that's pretty much the end of it, And this unit came out on JP in January 31st of 2017 and global on July 7th of 2017. So, yeah, what is that, second year anniversary, something along those realms? But it's certainly been a very, very long time. And then the agility version of the unit, came out in November 30th of 2017, and we have not yet seen an EZA for this unit, so it's long overdue. I mean, this guy, for example, the AGL version, will cause supreme damage to enemy and raises attack for 3 turns. Passive skill is an attack and defense increase to 90% of the start of the turn. So obviously, nowadays, even for free-to-play units, they probably have like 150% built in toward attack and defense, and some gimmicks behind, the rest of the passive skills or whatnot. So I don't know, like I really don't know how they're gonna go about it with these guys in particular, but I think for the AGL version, they're probably just gonna boost up that attack and defense percentage-wise from a base standpoint, and then maybe like upon activating a super attack, they'll build in some additional like skill sets for percentage increase toward, additional attack and defense maybe. Now, in terms of like the strength one, obviously, I don't know, they might change the 33% to like 35%. I highly doubt it'll bump up to like 40%, but I think what they're gonna have to do with this guy is build in, some sort of attack and defense boost from, a base increase off the passive, and, certain criterias maybe to further kind of build out, whether it be additional support or damage mitigation or something of that nature, because right now, I mean, as you can see, the output of, attack and defensive stats is very, very lackluster, even on, an Infinite Dragon Ball history stage like this. So it just really indicates how outdated these units are in this current state, especially from a defensive standpoint. I mean, I think, out of the two parameters, defense is literally what gets outdated way faster than attack orientation. So more or less, they really do have to focus on that. And I don't know, like from a scheduling standpoint for like 2023, the remaining months out of the year, for example, I just don't know like when they would potentially roll it out. But I guess they could literally any month out of the year, regardless of like a certain theme. But I don't know. Like, I don't know if these guys are going to be coming out during major celebration, or like, the off shooting, or off, like basically the typical like Dokkan Fest period every month, where it's not necessarily, you know, fantastic level of hype or whatever. But yeah, I just don't simply know. It would be nice to be able to see these guys in a more current state aspect of it. You know, more or less like, I don't expect these guys to be absolutely broken, and as long as they're usable, you know, like I think it's okay. Like for example, you know, the physical Super Saiyan 2 Gohan support unit, he's not the greatest, you know, by any means, even with the EZA and even in today's current state of Dokkan, but the guy's good enough from a supporting float standpoint where, yeah, he might not necessarily be putting up, you know, very, very high offensive numbers or even like very, very good defense, but at the end of the day, like that unit has like evasion abilities built into the passive, and you know, defense is okay enough, and plus that 35% toward attack for the allies on the team makes a pretty good difference, and it's a Super Saiyan unit, so it links quite well. So, you know, in this case with the Super Saiyan 3 GT Goku, the Giant 8 version, the Shred type version, I mean, the link sets overall, I mean, pretty good. I mean, you've got Super Saiyan, Kamehameha, Over in a Flash, Limit Breaking Form, GT, Saiyan Roar, and Fierce Battle, so they're pretty common links overall. Just missing the additional parameters built around the skill sets, you know, through the super or passive skills. So once that's taken care of, I don't see much problems with this guy. And yeah, I mean, we'll see how things play out. But I think the last thing I want to note is like the giant transformations that are currently a mechanic in Dokkan. It almost seems like it's a little bit outdated in the sets nowadays. And they're probably going to have to revamp this at some point, whether it be better offensive numbers or, you know, whatever. But it just seems like it's just buying you time at this point, and that's pretty much the main purpose of it. I get it, but it would be nice to, you know, instead of simply going into giant transformation to mitigate damage for a round or two, I would like to see some additional stuff built in where, you know, it's a little bit more fun on those rotations a little bit. But again, that's a pretty big change, so I don't know how soon they'll implement it, but it's certainly something to look out for. But either way, at the end of the day, I really want these guys to EZA very, very soon. I don't know when, but it needs to happen. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm guessing, you know, it's the same as well, but let me know.